Karaköy is often considered Istanbul's coolest neighborhood, thanks to Istanbul Modern, Galataport, and some of the best nightlife in Istanbul. But unlike Shoreditch or Brooklyn, Karaköy also has a twisting 2,000-year history featuring pirates, crusaders, and an entire branch of Christianity that only exists here in Karaköy. For 300 years, half of Central Asia was ruled by the Turkish and Jewish Khazar Empire, which was destroyed in 995 by Proto-Russian Vikings from Kiev, spreading the Karaite Jews as far as Lithuania, Crimea, and Constantinople. The story goes that they settled by the Bosphorus at a spot that was first named Karaköy, or Karaite Village, which then became Karaköy, or Black Village. In Byzantine times, this area had been a fishing community next to the Italian-run enclave of Galata. During the Ottoman conquest, what is now Karaköy made a good landing point when Mehmet the Conqueror had his fleet pulled up what is now Boğazkesen Caddesi to get round the city's naval defenses. More on that in our Cihangir and Galata videos, listed in the description. The Jewish population was gradually replaced by an overflow of Christians from Galata. Italians, Russians, Greeks, and Armenians all built their own churches and inns here, putting Karaköy squarely on the pilgrimage route to Jerusalem. The Karaite Jews eventually settled in Sütlüce, about which we have made a separate video. In the 1500s, one of the world's biggest shipyards took shape in Kasımpaşa, providing employment for locals as shipbuilders. Its new naval power allowed the Ottoman Empire's privateers to raid the coasts of most of Europe, giving Karaköy many monuments to their achievements. During the Crimean War, Karaköy and Galata became a military base for 50,000 British and French soldiers who passed through on their way to resist the Russian invasion of Ottoman Crimea, but who stuck around long enough to install some of the city's first modern infrastructure here in Karaköy, including railways, power lines, and a new Galata bridge. French engineers built the first quay in Karaköy in 1895. More about the Crimean War in our Galata and Taksim videos. After World War I and the Turkish War of Independence, Turkey and Greece agreed to exchange each other's minority populations. But this raised the question of what to do about worshippers of Orthodox Christianity who were not ethnically Greek. The solution came in the form of a dissident Anatolian priest, Pavlos Karahisaridis, who by sheer coincidence had met a young Kemal Atatürk at his neighbor's house decades earlier, and the two had stayed friends. With Atatürk's approval, Karahisaridis took over 3 churches in Karaköy and declared himself Pope Eftim I of the independent Turkish Orthodox Church in 1922. Eftim died in 1968 and was succeeded as pope by his 2 sons, Eftim II and Eftim III, all of whom are buried, ironically, in the Greek cemetery in Şişli, despite having been excommunicated by the Greek Orthodox Church. The cemetery is covered in our Mecidiyeköy video. Following persecution in the 1940s and 50s, most of Karaköy's remaining Christians and Jews left, while their waterfront homes fell into disrepair and were converted to warehouses and homeless shelters. But Karaköy's eclectic history, waterfront location, and cheap real estate meant that by the 2000s, enterprising locals saw the potential of turning Karaköy's buildings into cool bars, cafes, and art venues, which were followed by hotels and restaurants, making Karaköy one of Istanbul's best nightlife spots and the hipster capital of Turkey. Turkey's premier art museum, Istanbul Modern, was built on the waterfront in 2004, putting the district on the cultural map. The transformation was completed by the opening in 2021 of Galataport, a flashy shopping arcade and cruise ship terminal, guaranteeing a steady supply of tourists. Today's Karaköy remains the confusing combination of bars, mosques, street food, churches and art galleries that make it the most effortlessly cool and eccentric part of Istanbul, with sights crying out to be discovered. The original European enclave of Galata was roughly between the Galata Bridge and the metro bridge beyond. The names Karaköy and Galata are often used interchangeably, but this video covers the area east of Karaköy Square and the Galata Bridge, while Galata is covered in a separate video, listed in the description. Until the 1800s, locals were dependent on boats to ferry people and goods across the Golden Horn. In 1502, Leonardo da Vinci proposed building what would have been, at the time, the world's longest bridge here. But the design was rejected by the Sultan, and the idea was forgotten for 3 centuries. The original Galata Bridge was built in 1845 and rebuilt in 1863 to mark a state visit by Napoleon III of France. The Galata Bridge you see today dates to 1994 and is one of Istanbul's main landmarks, thanks to dozens of seafood restaurants and even a mosque on its lower floor. And in a bizarre turn of events, Da Vinci's original Galata Bridge design was rediscovered and executed in the town of Ås in Norway in 2000. And here it is. A block away from Galata Bridge is the Yeraltı Cami, or underground mosque. Once the basement of a Roman fortress from which a chain was hung across the mouth of the Golden Horn to keep out enemy navies. Yeraltı Cami was converted into a mosque in 1753 and was installed with 2 tombs of early followers of the Prophet Muhammad. The Surp Purgic Church is the oldest Armenian Catholic church in the city, built in 1830 and famous for its annual Day of the Dead celebration, when an icon of the Virgin Mary is paraded in the streets. Alongside it is the Church of Saint Benoit, the oldest still operating Catholic church in Istanbul. It was once a mosque, then the chapel of the Ambassador of France, and is today part of Saint Benoit French School. Further down the street is a section of the original 800-year-old Galata city walls, and behind that, a crumbling building that was once the residence of the Genoese governor of Galata. The Church of the Virgin Mary is the seat of the Turkish Orthodox Patriarchate and the oldest of the 3 Turkish Orthodox churches in Karaköy, embellished with Mustafa Kemal Atatürk's praise for the church's help during the Turkish War of Independence. Nearby are the other 2 Turkish Orthodox churches of St. John and St. Nicholas. St. Panteleimon Russian Church is perched on the top floor of a building that once housed Russian pilgrims on their way to Jerusalem. St. Gregory Orthodox Armenian Church is the oldest Gregorian Armenian church in Istanbul, originally built in 1391. Despite being huge, it's half the size of the original, which was demolished in the 1950s. In 1536, the Ottoman Navy captured 17-year-old Giovanni Galeni during a raid on Calabria in Italy. He was put to work as a galley kitchen slave before converting to Islam, changing his name to Kiliç Ali and rising through the ranks to become Grand Admiral of the Ottoman fleet. When he died, Mimar Sinan was sponsored to build a mosque, madrasa and bathhouse in Karaköy in Kiliç Ali Paşa's memory, where the man himself was laid to rest in 1587. The road opposite the Kiliç Ali Paşa complex is Boğazkesen Caddesi, or Throat Cutter Street, which follows the route that the Ottoman Navy was dragged during the siege of Constantinople. See our Cihangir video for more. The grand building on the corner was once a cannon foundry, or tophane in Turkish, giving the surrounding neighborhood its name. It was first built immediately after the Ottoman conquest on the site of a Greek church and is now an art gallery. During the military reforms of the 1800s, Sultan Mahmud II put down a revolt by the Ottomans' elite troops, the Janissaries, executing all 135,000 of them. The Sultan dedicated a new mosque, the Nusretiye Cami, or Victory Mosque, to mark his achievement, along with the city's first public clock tower. Istanbul Modern is Turkey's leading modern art museum, founded in 2004. Originally built in a former warehouse, the current Istanbul Modern building dates to 2023 and was designed by Pritzker Prize-winning architect Renzo Piano. Istanbul Modern opens onto the 1.2-kilometer-long Galataport, a waterfront shopping arcade with bars and restaurants and water that is deep enough to dock the world's biggest cruise ships. Part of Galataport occupies the Ottoman-era Karaköy post office building. Past Galataport is the Molla Çelebi Mosque, by Mimar Sinan, of course, and past that, Beşiktaş and Dolmabahçe Palace, which we have done a separate video for. For guided tours of this and other parts of Istanbul, check out the free walking tours link in the description. Eating in Karaköy is an experience, from fancy breakfast spots to fun street food. Some of the best restaurants in Karaköy include Arada Cafe for a legendary breakfast. Karaköy Çorba Evi has been serving up a range of Turkish soups since long before Karaköy was cool. For something quicker, grab a fish kebab or balık dürüm, a spicy, tangy fillet of mackerel wrapped in flatbread. For drinks, hit up any of the bars on lively Mumhane Caddesi, or for a fancier waterfront experience, try Populist in Galataport. For English-speaking social events, pub quizzes and more, get in touch with our partners Yabancı through the link in the description. The nearest metro stops to Karaköy are Haliç at the other end of Galata and Şişhane at the bottom of İstiklal Caddesi. The Tunnel Funicular Railway runs between İstiklal Caddesi and Karaköy Square. Karaköy Ferry Terminal connects Karaköy with Kadıköy and Üsküdar on the Asian side. Karaköy's location at the meeting point of Beşiktaş, Cihangir, Taksim and Galata makes it an excellent base for exploring Istanbul's best tourist sites. Check our videos on all these places before heading off, listed in the description.
Have you been to Karaköy? If so, please leave a comment and let us know what you think of our video, and don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date with our latest content.
Links to all other videos, hotels and free walking tours mentioned here are listed in the description, along with relocation services to help new arrivals settle into Istanbul. And while you're here, check out another one of our videos about the history and sights of Turkey. Thanks, and see you next time.